Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, and welcome to the 9th anniversary of Taking Issue, the only comics review show on the internet, if you've never been on the internet before now. Last season saw some viewer requests getting fulfilled, like the first appearance of Mayday Parker, and a solo one-shot for the reinvention of obscure hero The Ferret, as well as periodically focusing on the X-Men's pious acrobat, Nightcrawler. This, of course, meant looking at the more infamous stories penned by Chuck Austen, like when Kurt's training to be a priest was retconned as a big, convoluted hoax, and that his biological father was a millennia-old mutant stuck in a timeless dimension. Christians are supposed to take joy in suffering, but give the elf a break, he can only take so much. I also looked at Austen's DC work, which admittedly was not as bad by comparison, though arguably still room for improvement, and there were periodic looks at my favorite comics scribe, J. Michael Straczynski's run on Brave and the Bold. Most notable of the season, however, was probably my 400th episode, where I and, my Rage clone, I guess, looked at the 2024 Batgirl relaunch starring Cassandra Cain. Not as much omission of the orphan mistake as I would have preferred, but moving on. For this season premiere, I'd like to discuss the fan-favorite animated series, Teen Titans, and how one episode in particular, Spellbound, may have a more mature theme than it appears.
Sex!
Yeah, that. I was trying to be a bit more subtle about it, but what are you gonna do? If you've never watched the show, first off, how dare you? Second, here's a brief rundown. It's an anime-inspired action-adventure series starring Robin the Teen Wonder, who takes his role as leader very seriously, Cyborg, half-man, half-machine powerhouse that handles the team's tech needs, Starfire, alien princess with an array of powers and a naive curiosity about Earth, Beast Boy, the animal-centric shapeshifter, and Team Goof-Off, and the focus of this particular episode, Raven, magic-wielding deadpan snarker and bookworm who enjoys her privacy.
Egghead likes his bookie work.
Homer!
Just tucking him in.
After the very catchy theme song by Puffy Amiyumi, the Titans stop show original villain Cardiac from threatening some school children. While they are victorious, Raven would rather hurry back to the tower so she can finish her book. one about a young wizard named Malchior fighting the dragon Rorik. But even when there's no crime, her friends provide more interruptions, much to her annoyance. It's her refusal to referee a game of stank ball that offends Beast Boy enough to call her creepy. No, she is not. Some fan art of her, on the other hand. Ray is clearly hurt by the remark.
I'm not creepy. I'm just different. And I wish there was someone around here who understood that. Someone I could talk to.
There is.
She's surprised because the hardcovers usually speak with a Jamaican accent. The voice is of Malchior, the wizard she was reading about, who says that after defeating Rorik, the dragon cast a spell that bound him to the book. After 1,000 years, he thinks the young lady is the one who can free him. The curse turns out to be too strong for Raven, but he's not bitter, so they get to talking instead. Mal making a few cracks at Beast Boy's expense, which brightens Raven's mood. Until it gets so late, they decide to call it a night.
Do you promise you'll still be here when I wake up?
Unlike that lousy Eat, Pray, Love paperback last month. The next day, BB knocks on her door to apologize for what he said, and after hearing an unfamiliar voice, Raven answers but insists that she's fine, to brush him off. Later, she puts together ingredients for a spell Malky told her about from one of the several ancient texts he's read over the years.
I've been trapped in a book. Not much to do but read.
The less said about the time I spent in the Barnes & Noble discount bin, the better. After slicing off some of Raven's hair as the final ingredient, she hits him with the powder, resulting in a humanoid body made from pages of the book. He can move around some, but with the curse still active, his range is limited. Our blue-caped sorceress is still determined to free him, so he uses his powers to summon dozens of tomes to teach her what she needs to know.
Now, for more powerful magics, we turn to the works of Reardon the Strange.
He was the first to substitute cow spleens for pig spleens in his potions. It really revolutionized the trade. As the tutoring montage progresses, Raven is changed to a white variant of her clothes, and the energy she wields is green-colored instead of black. And I guess this trick, absorbing the knowledge of the books directly into her brain, may be how Malchior read so much while stuck in a book himself. I tried a similar technique once, but apparently smacking the book against my forehead didn't have the same results. It did give me a splitting headache and a ban from the library, but I think that's about it. Oh, and it gave me a splitting headache. When we finally see her leave her room, the rest of the team note how much more secluded she's been lately, even with a much more chipper disposition. And Starfire lets it slip that Beast Boy told them about Malchior.
I may have kinda been a fly on the wall in your room.
Red flag on the green dude. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't spy on her changing clothes or showering like some losers would with those powers, but still, he has the nerve to call her creepy? Let's not even get started on how he makes out with a sock in his sleep. So remember Cardiac from the beginning of the episode? A piece of it managed to get away, later reformed, and has abducted a little girl from her home. The team arrives, careful not to accidentally hurt the kid, but they aren't having much luck stopping the creature if they have to pull their punches. Raven pops in, uses a few different magic words than usual, and begins engulfing Cardiac and its hostage in dark energy from her mouth and eyes.
Raven, stop! I can't!
Yep, here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil.
The others have to intervene, even knocking their teammate down to disrupt her spell, but they do manage to rescue the girl, and Cardiac is incapacitated. Raven transports away without them and returns to Malchior, incensed.
It's dark magic. You've been teaching me dark magic.
Which is different from the very dark-looking magic you use throughout the show. How? Mal insists the spells are just more powerful than what she's used to, and those who fear power would call it dark as a pejorative. Furthermore, they're still necessary to free him so they can be together, and he says it's time to cast the final spell. Abracadabra, alakazam, ollie ollie oxenfree, now here you am? Wait a minute. A few incantations, some dramatic hand gestures, and Malchior is engulfed in a beam of light, but the pages of the book are reacting as well.
You changed it.
That's right, Malchior is actually the dragon, who altered the book he was trapped in to trick our gray-skinned gal. And as thanks for his freedom, He spits fire at her and puts a hole in the ceiling. The How to Train Your Dragon trilogy gave Raven very unrealistic expectations. The other 4 Titans head to the roof to confront the deceptive lizard, and yes, Robin can combine his batarangs to make a sword because dragon. Unfortunately, they don't fare all that well, quickly being overwhelmed. Raven finally appears, manages to get some good hits in, but ends up in Mal's clutches, literally.
I don't need you anymore.
I don't even need the animators to move my lips when I speak. I'm all powerful.
It's not over. Not yet.
The monster may have taught her a spell or two, but Raven just learned herself a curse. The same one that originally trapped Malchior. He's pulled back into the book, the team gathers on their wrecked rooftop, and Raven's clothes fade to their normal blue and black. A sign that not only is she back to her old self, but perhaps also indicative that she's free of Malky's influence. Yeah, the white raven look typically relates to her innate powers, if I recall correctly, but it can mean more than one thing here, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Later, she's placing the book in its own large chest when Beast Boy knocks on her door to apologize again, this time for how she got her heart broke. Intellectually, Raven knows she was being used, but her time with Malchior made her feel that she wasn't creepy.
And don't try to tell me I'm not.
Firstly, I've seen creepier in real life. Second, some guys go for that kind of thing. You ever see those memes about certain cartoons influencing some people's goth taste in women? Stay away from them, Raven. Stay away! You two, X-Men Evolution Rogue and Gwen from Total Drama, run! Save yourselves! BB states that even if she is creepy, there's no need to lock herself away in her room all the time, because she's not as alone as she thinks. Gotta use screenshots here, because for some reason my video editor cut off the last 2 minutes of the episode. Raven opens the door and, in a fairly atypical fashion, gives her green friend a hug. Almost as unexpected is a hunk of dirty clothes smacking Beastie in the head, Cyborg initiating a game of stank ball. The episode ends on Raven smiling devilishly as she decides to participate. That was the Teen Titans episode Spellbound, a fun, exciting story with a good twist and moments that were both heartfelt and heartbreaking. So why do I think this is alluding to something more sexual? To clarify, I'm not the type of person who insists on shipping characters or headcanon sexy times into every fricking thing. I'm not saying anything happened between Malchior and Raven beyond what we see, and certainly not that anything should have happened. Allegories, after all, are meant to hint at or address a topic without being obvious or explicit. I'd watched this episode multiple times without digging deeper into it, but one day I thought about this line from Raven.
He lied. And I gave him what he wanted.
That's what got me thinking that perhaps this episode was saying something more. The series was never exactly a stranger to subtle messages. Troc is about racism and bigotry. Transformation is about puberty. The Beast Within is also probably about puberty, but I'd argue it also addresses anger management, healthy and unhealthy forms of masculinity. You get what I'm saying, I hope. Let's go over the events knowing Malchior's secret. Raven is a magic user, so is skilled in the arts he needs to get released.
Phrasing?
Okay, I walked myself right into that one. She also leans towards solitude as it is, keeping to herself and doing a lot of reading, so that also works in his favor. To avoid outright rejection or raising suspicion about his motives, Mal doesn't behave aggressively, instead speaking calmly, civilly, flatteringly. Rather than trying to draw the young lady into something she normally wouldn't be interested in, as her friends had earlier, he makes her comfort zone seem more comfortable, empathizing and identifying with her. He even uses what limited sorcery he still maintains to create a paper rose and an elegant image of her, suggesting to Raven that's how he truly sees her. Even though he did attack her and her friends, it was still more flattering than some of the stuff she saw on DeviantArt. He calls her beautiful, and she reacts as if no one has ever said that to her before. Malky's also careful not to make their arrangements seem so one-sided. He coaches her through new spells with encouragement and humor. He makes her laugh and feel accepted for who she is.
That's funny. You're funny.
Not that her teen necessarily rejected her, and revelations about her parentage in Season 4 would make her asocial behavior make more sense, but they have often seemed more interested in coaxing her into their activities than asking to join in hers. In the team's defense, Raven's first choice for book club was the Necronomicon. She and Mal cozy up to each other, having a close but still innocent-looking embrace or two, though eventually things do turn sour. When her power becomes too much to control, Raven confronts him, feeling tricked into something she didn't anticipate. Yet, Melchior is a sly one. Maybe some of those books he read over the centuries were on psychology. He doesn't apologize, rather plays off these spells as required to free him, then proceeds to gaslight Raven that unless he gets what he's after, she will always be alone.
Is that what you want, Raven? To be alone?
No.
I don't usually approve of burning books, but in his case... Think of it like a manipulative wannabe Lothario who just wants to get laid, telling women over and over that he's never felt this way about anyone else, or that each one is so special to him. He had already kept her in her room more than usual, to the point that Robin and the others took notice, meaning he was isolating her from her friends to prevent interference, making her easier to control, convincing her that he is more important than the team she's known for years at this point. Consider the curse being lifted, and Mal revealed as the evil dragon, as a metaphor for someone, in this case Raven, having been used for another person's lustful gratification and then discarded. She was convinced this was real affection, did what felt right, and discovered it was all manipulation, to the benefit of someone who really didn't care about her at all. This is why you wait until you're married. This exact reason. Evil dragons in disguise. Heck, even Melchior's taunting in the final fight arguably backs this idea up.
You're not going to cry now, are you?
No, not that.
But you'll just have to accept the truth. It's over. I got what I wanted.
Like the hunky jock in a bad 2000s high school drama that worked his way into an unsuspecting girl's bed, he wants nothing more to do with Raven, seeing her as little more than an irritant to be swatted away so he can indulge his malice elsewhere. Also, probably doesn't help that the only person she thought really understood her turned out to be evil. Now, is him getting cursed again part of the alleged allegory? I don't think so. If you really wanted to stretch the imagination, I suppose one could see it as Raven taking back control of her life, learning from the experience, but that's probably more what it appears to be, wrapping up the story of a kid's show so the bad guy loses. Though to prevent another sorceress from being duped in the future, she could always try tossing that book into an industrial shredder. So that was my feeble attempt to appear smarter than I am by analyzing a cartoon. Truthfully, the core message could have more been about manipulative and toxic relationships in general, be they romantic, sexual, platonic, etc. So what do you think? Was I on point or way off? Do you have another theory about what the meaning of this episode could be? Feel free to leave a comment. But before we end this episode, a little something about the year ahead. Oftentimes, things are remembered or celebrated by years that end in the number 5 or multiples of 10. Well, this year, I can do both at once. Not only is this the 10th season of Taking Issue, but it'll also be the 5th year we take a look at atypical pairings of comic book characters in... Year of the Crossover 5. Overcrossed! Look forward to follow-ups and sequels of previously featured crossovers, iconic franchises making unthinkable acquaintances, and the usual insanity I try to bring with each episode. I'm the Angry Spork, and man have I got issues.